Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm T-Riz. So this is the first time that I'm doing this. This is going to be the first episode of my city Skylines series. I thought I would just start off by introducing myself. So, my name is T-Riz. That's my channel name. And I play a whole heap of different games. I play like City Skylines, I play Rocket League. I just have a bit of an interest towards city building games, which is one of my passions, and I thought this is time to start making stuff and start sharing it with everyone out there. I live in Australia. I live on the Gold Coast, Australia, so this city will be based off around near where I live. I live in southeast Queensland, which is a region. It's got Gold Coast, Brisbane, which is the third largest city in Australia. So this region is going to include Gold Coast, Brisbane, and some areas of northern New South Wales, which is the state below Queensland. So I might as well get started into it. So this is me creating the Brisbane River. So I'm just terraforming around there, making the areas. You might see a bit of the footage chopping and changing. That's me going in and out of it, changing the LUT, changing the terrain, so during the bottom, during the ground, to make it look more like the area where I live in. I ran into some issues where some of the footage ended up being corrupted, so I couldn't upload it all, but I had plenty for the first video. So this first video is just going to be terraforming the area to make it all suit and match to what I'm looking for. So with Brisbane, it's the third largest city in Australia, so I'm going to make a smaller version of this. The area that I'm making right now is just the hills surrounding Brisbane near the edge. So those hills that you just saw it's called the Mount Coot-tha area. So it has good views of the city in real life. So hopefully during the game, once it's all made, we'll have good views there as well. And for this map as well, I'll just run over the map. So the map here is an altered version of the Sunshine Coast. So the Sunshine Coast is north of Brisbane. I just like the layout of it. I didn't choose Brisbane because it was hard to find a map where I could condense a city so that I could have multiple cities on one map using a 1-to-1 scale of Brisbane. So I used the Sunshine Coast map, which has some canals, like similar to the Gold Coast, just a smaller version of the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast. And then I was able to push Brisbane into the sort of northwestern corner of the map. That way it has plenty of area up there. And then in the southeast of there is going to be Gold Coast and northern New South Wales, which will be really good. You can see the canals there. That's going to be part of the Gold Coast. So the northern New South Wales area is going to include the mountains of Mount Warning and the surrounding mountains of like Springbrook and all that, and Byron Bay, which is the most eastern point of Australia. So I feel like the first episode will be me creating Byron Bay, which is that area just in the corner that you can just see there. It's a bay that sort of curves around, which will be really interesting to do because Byron Bay is a very unique area. Gold Coast will be in the middle where all those canals are. So I might alter the canals a bit, make them a bit smaller, and maybe a little bit more or a little bit less. I'll decide that when we come to it. So here I'm creating Mount Warning. Now I've tried this a few times on City Skylines and Skitty Skylines. And I found it really difficult. So what I did was I watched a lot of videos on how to terraform, because I would usually try and do it quickly and then it just wouldn't look good. So this footage here is hours upon hours of work. So what I'm doing is I'm creating the main shape of the mountain, and then I'm dragging ridges down to each side to replicate the sort of erosion that would happen to the mountain over time. So as you can see from the mountain I've made, it's got 3 humps. So Mount Warning's like that. It's got the 3 humps on it. It looks very unique. I might be able to get a picture up to show everyone what it actually looks like, and I'm trying to replicate it here. And some of you may be able to tell that it looks like a volcano, and it used to be a volcano, not anymore. So it's a volcano that's been dormant for millions and millions of years, and it used to be the tallest mountain and volcano in the southern hemisphere millions and millions of years ago. So it has eroded over time. So what I'm making now is like outlines of ridges where the erosion has flooded into, which was kind of handy that I had water in this area to sort of imagine how the water would come out of these bowls. You know, these gigantic bowls of where the water comes into, it needs to come out. Erosion does happen over millions of years. So, and now what I'm creating now is the outline of where the mountain would originally rise from those millions of years ago. So it is slightly smaller than the peak. And this does happen in the real life location around here. You see all the mountains and you look at it from Google Earth, which I was using a lot of. I was using Google Earth to look down onto this area, and I was replicating it as much as I can. And you can see that it is there's a big ridge that encircles the center of Mount Warning, which is really, really, not unique. It happens to plenty of places in the world, but it's something special from where I live, and I thought that it would be really good to replicate in cities. So yeah, I'm just creating this area here. I looked at some more tutorials as well because there is big plateaus in this area, so I just had to edge down, imagining where the water would run down when it rains, and then how that would all work. There is a river going through there, and then I decided when I was looking further back that it's too sharp of a drop, so I thought that that would be the ideal place to bring in a waterfall, and you see that near the end of my footage here. Yeah, so exciting stuff. For anyone who's watching, let me know if you know of the area, live in the area, you know, any suggestions on little things that I may miss as well, or little things that I can add in. I'm all ears. So in this area as well, I'm thinking about creating like a small country town, which is going to be similar to Mooloolaba. So that's something that will happen in the future. With everything, I'm going to be changing the names of what they are, just to be a bit more imaginative, because it's not an exact copy. It's my own imagined version of it being on a smaller map. So yeah, instead of Southeast Queensland, I've called it Southeast Kingsland. Bit silly, I know, but you know, it's just something that was easy, and I'm like, yep, I'm just going to do this and make plays on words of everything that I do. So now I'm just filling in all the trees just to make it look a bit filled out. So everything here is like it's not the final version. You know, everything's going to be changed when we get to those areas. It's just sort of a bit of a layout of what we're going to expect so that we can start building, and then when we get into those little areas, we'll do a bit more detailing. So yeah, I was very happy with how Mount Warning came out. So we need another name for this mountain, because I'm not going to call it Mount Warning. This series is going to have its own personality. So any ideas on the mountain, let me know. If not, I'll think of something eventually. But yeah, now I'm just edging out this hill to make it look a bit more eroded, so it does look like that it has eroded over time. But yeah, this map was really good. It had a lot of Australian trees on it, so I could just replicate the forest on here, which looks very Australian from afar. The rainforests in this region though are a lot more dense. So when you zoom in, it doesn't look like a rainforest, but from afar, it does look like a rainforest. So I feel like that's the main goal there, because you just want it to look good from afar. So with the train lines, I'll be changing that. The highways will be changing a little bit as well, but not in this region. It follows true to how I want it to be. Now this is the area, so where the second episode will be. It's based off Byron Bay, but I'm going to rename it to Tyrone Bay. So some people may know that's a little bit of an Easter egg. I'm just going to leave it here for people to figure out. But yeah, so it's going to be called Tyrone Bay. And it is just the way Byron Bay is in real life. It is a small coastal town which has lots and lots of tourists go there. It's sort of like a hippie town, but people love it. They love to go there and visit and have day trips from the other areas. So yeah. You can see me going in and out of the areas where I'm building. Here is where I create a waterfall. So this is where I realized, okay, that area, it was far too steep of a drop between everything, and I was like, okay, we need to raise up the water here. This is a mistake that I kept running into with the maps. So you have the water creator tool, and then I would move the land around without even getting rid of the water source. So then I had to dig into the ground, use terraforming to get rid of it, so that I don't have just unused resources in the computer, so that the computer just isn't getting wasted on what it's using its processing power on. So I was like, no, I need to get rid of this. So I dug into the ground to get rid of it. This waterfall is by far not finished. It definitely needs a lot of work. So that's something that I'm looking at more areas. So yeah, there's that Byron Bay area down there. I'm going to go into a live play and then point out each area to you just after this sped up footage. Here's a bunch of islands which are in front of Byron Bay. I'm pretty sure they're called Julian Rocks in real life. So they actually have a very interesting story behind them. It will be explained on the episode. I might be able to create it. They have underwater caves, so with Aboriginal artwork, and that has a really good story behind it. So I will, if I can't make the caves, I'll definitely share the story on that episode, and that's going to be maybe next episode. I might make the town next episode and then focus on detailing after that episode, and then working on the rocks and everything. So yeah, here I'm creating a forest brush, and I want it to be a rainforest. So I was looking at some palm trees and stuff that can go in there, and a few other things to make it look more dense, but I didn't want to use any trees that had high tri counts. So for those of you that don't know, I don't actually know what a tri count is. All I know is the higher the tri count, the harder it is for your computer to run. So I was looking for the trees with low tri counts. The other thing I realized as well is when I was creating this, that the trees were sitting on the hill, on the cliff, and I'm like, that's not very realistic. So I decided to raise up areas to make it more smoother, not so sharp of a descent, because I don't want the cliffs to be showing up everywhere. It's not very natural for that much of a cliff to be showing up. On the peak, on the very top peak for the highest peak, there is actually rock and a cliff face there, and it's a gigantic rock which pretty much sits on it, and that's where the volcano used to erupt from, and then it's solidified since being dormant. So, and that's still there. So maybe I could do some more detailing when we get into that area. It is going to be a national park, and we will have a name for that when we come to that part. So we're nearing the end here. So for me creating the map and terraforming, I'm just turning this into a tunnel, so it's not so sharp of a drop in a cliff and everything. And yeah, so here we are at the end, and now let's go into the live play. Hello and welcome to the live play. So I'm starting off in the bottom of the map where the first episode will be. What I'm going to do in this live play, by the way, is just go through each area that I'm going to be building on. So this is the lower corner of the map, and similar to Byron Bay, themed off that, I'm going to call it Tyrone Bay. So up on here on the real life headland is a lighthouse, so we're going to mimic that. And then the town is down in here, and it has a really good beach. There's a small little beach there which will have more detail on it, and the town will be around here. as we move up the coast, this area will be, they'll have very small, there'll be farms, there'll be that sort of stuff, and then there'll be some small settlements there. Same with here, there'll be a little settlement here. And then once, it'll seem disconnected from there to here a little bit, like from the town to here, and then it will start to increase, and we're going to have an airport probably over here. And then it's going to go into the Gold Coast, and then this is going to be the Gold Coast region. You know, on these canals are going to be like very affluent houses, you know, rich houses along here, and then high rises along the beach. For those of you that don't know, Gold Coast is very, very similar looking to Miami, as you can probably imagine. But yeah, that's the city I live in, so I'm just going to recreate a smaller version of that. I might change up these canals a little bit when we get into the area. That is something that I will do eventually when we come to there. Now let's go west. So this area, I'm thinking this area will be a small rural town. I don't have a name for it yet, but we will eventually when we get to it. And surrounding it will be some farms. So there'll be some farms around here. And then as we go a bit further out here, in this valley, there'll be small little houses, some like really nice farms. There'll be national park over here that can go through there. I might make another waterfall through here. I have this idea for a waterfall that'll go down through a cave. I don't know if I'll be able to make it on cities, but we'll see how we go. I might give it a shot. And then obviously Mount Warning will have a walking track to the peak, which has a really good view of eventually the town over there in Tyrone Bay. I'll need another name for the Gold Coast. I'll think of that when I come to it. But yeah, the Gold Coast will be there. And then the other thing as well is the other cities that will be over here. So the capital of this region and the capital of the real life region is Brisbane. So there is going to be a major city sitting here. So from ground level, can't see the edge of the map, which is good. That's what I want it to look like. So you can get these good shots where you see the horizon. And then, yeah, this area will be like, so Brisbane, main city will be there. And then the entire region will probably be like that big, I'd say. So it's sort of just in the valley area of these small hills around it. There's going to be small rural towns up here. And for Brisbane, the airport is actually going to be over here. Yeah, so there's going to be one airport here out onto the water. There's also going to be a port here as well. And another airport there. There's going to be small things on this island as well. So, yeah, we're going to just have small things there. I'm going to make more inlets and estuaries in there to make it look more realistic when we come to it. And then there's going to be small things over here, some small places over there. And then there'll be a little bit of a gap between that city and that city. So, yeah, thank you for joining in. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.